When the Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay Packers agreed to the Micah Parsons trade last week, it broke the internet. We'd heard rumblings that teams were inquiring about Parsons, but it seemed unfathomable that the Cowboys would actually pull the trigger on a trade. Well, thanks to The Athletic's Diana Rossini, we now know which teams reached out to inquire about Parsons. As the relationship between Parsons and the Cowboys continued to degrade, the Colts, Bills, Patriots, and Panthers all at least checked in on Parsons, with the asking price being firm, 2 first-round picks, and a defensive stud. Plus, of course, they would need to sign Parsons to the contract he wanted. This is in addition to ESPN's Adam Schefter's report from Thursday that the Eagles tried to trade for Parsons as well. Schefter said that while the Eagles tried to get a deal done, the Cowboys had no interest in trading Parsons within the division. Rossini adds that Philadelphia was one of Parsons' preferred destinations, but the Cowboys were never entertaining such a move, even for a better offer. In the end, Green Bay came through with the winning offer. They sent the Cowboys 2 first-round picks, one in 2026 and one in 2027, as well as DT Kenny Clark for Parsons. They then signed Parsons to a 4-year, $186 million deal for a whopping $46.5 million in average annual salary. That mark shatters the previous NFL record for a non-quarterback. The Packers were Parsons' other preferred destination if Philly wasn't on the table, something that likely factored into the decision. Every team in the NFL should have tried to trade for Micah Parsons. It really doesn't matter how good your defense already is. Micah Parsons will make you better. The 3-time All-Pro and 4-time Pro Bowler won Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2021, and he's one of just 2 NFL players all-time to record at least 12 sacks in each of his first 4 seasons. Rossini reported that the Vikings, Broncos, Bengals, Texans, Chiefs, Browns, Commanders, Titans, 49ers, and Rams never engaged in talks with the Cowboys. Whether this was due to considerations of money, timing, or simply the asking price, this was a mistake. Whether they would have been able to get a deal done or not, when a player of Parsons' caliber becomes available, you have to at least kick the tires. The Dallas Cowboys' pass rush left something to be desired against the Eagles. On Thursday night's season-opening game against the defending champion Eagles, Parsons' absence on Dallas' defensive front was felt. Outside of a few plays, the Cowboys were unable to consistently pressure Eagles' QB Jalen Hurts. The Cowboys have high hopes for rookie second-round ED Donovan Ezrawaku, and he had a nice run stop on Thursday. But he also lost contain on a key conversion for the Eagles, and he has a lot of growth to undergo before he's a consistent difference-maker. The Buffalo Bills have made some big moves in recent years to bolster their pass rush, signing Von Miller in 2022 and Joey Bosa this year. The team could have landed an even bigger name, with a new report revealing that they inquired with the Dallas Cowboys on edge rusher Micah Parsons before he was ultimately traded to the Green Bay Packers. Bills jumped at opportunity for Micah Parsons. The Cowboys had pushed aside trade rumors for much of the offseason, insisting they were not planning to move Parsons even as contract talks stalled and the relationship with their star edge rusher fractured. The Athletic's Diana Rossini reported that as soon as the Cowboys began to warm up to the idea of trading Parsons, the Bills were among the group of teams to make a call on him. About a week before the deal was finalized, word spread that the Cowboys' stance on dealing their star had shifted. "We're not trading Parsons" had quickly become, "Okay, what can we get?" That opened the door, Rossini wrote. The Colts, Panthers, Bills, and Patriots all made calls and were told the price: 2 first-round picks, a significant player, and, of course, a record-setting contract. It's not clear how serious the Bills would have been in landing Parsons. General Manager Brandon Beane has said the team will often inquire about the asking price for players, doing their due diligence even if it is unlikely that anything will come from it. But occasionally, those inquiries have turned into big moves. Beane said the team had asked the Minnesota Vikings in 2019 if they would have any interest in trading wide receiver Stefon Diggs. The Vikings said no, but 1 year later, after Diggs made statements on social media hinting that he was unhappy in Minnesota, the Bills called and asked again. This time, the Vikings were willing to make a deal and sent Diggs to the Bills. While nothing came of the team's inquiry to the Cowboys on Parsons, the report showed that the Bills are open to the idea of more upgrades to their defense and could signal a willingness to make moves ahead of this season's trade deadline. Bills seen as top contender for Micah Parsons. While the Bills ended up losing out to the Packers for Parsons, some analysts saw Buffalo as a strong fit. Ralph Vacchiano of Fox Sports named the Bills as one of the few teams that could actually pull off the trade. It would take some serious salary cap gymnastics for the Bills to pull this off, and the cost would probably be higher than it would be for most teams, Vacchiano wrote. They're a Super Bowl threat even without Parsons, so their draft picks are generally low, meaning the Cowboys would ask for more of them. That means the Bills would have to mortgage a lot of their future. But it might be worth it for them, more than any other team, to figure out a way to get it done. New York Giants head coach Brian Daboll confirmed Monday afternoon that veteran quarterback Russell Wilson will be the starter in Week 2 against the Dallas Cowboys. Daboll needed to, once again, affirm to the media that Wilson is still the Giants' starter after calls for rookie Jackson Dart intensified Sunday evening. After a game. It's an emotional game. It's a tough game. Didn't play particularly well, I would say, collectively, but in terms of making any of those decisions, really at any position or schematic changes, I'd like to do it with a clear head and watch the tape, Daboll said on Monday. Again, like I said yesterday, that game doesn't fall on Russell Wilson. We've got to do a better job collectively, coaching, playing, but Russ will be the starter. What did Daboll see from Wilson when he watched that tape? He made good decisions, Daboll said. Again, we've missed on the one-on-one matchups. Sometimes it's a throw. Sometimes it's a competitive catch. It's a collective. It's not just Russ when you talk about this whole thing. It's the entire offense. Everybody, as far as me, coaches, players, we got to do a better job collectively. That's what we'll do. The Giants' 21-6 loss to the Commanders in Week 1 poured gasoline on a quarterback controversy that had been brewing since the preseason. Wilson played well enough in the preseason, however Dart was incredibly exciting and had, easily, the best performance of any rookie quarterback in this year's draft class. In fact, his performance was one of the best in recent memory, prompting commentators around the NFL media landscape to predict that Dart would be starting sooner rather than later. Now the nature of the calls have shifted, and those calling for Dart have expressed the belief, or perhaps hope, that his mobility could compensate for the Giants' poor offensive line. Instead, Daboll will likely want to continue to let Dart incubate and work on some of the technical and foundational issues in his game. For instance, he still needs to work on using traditional footwork in his drops, as well as timing his footwork up with receivers' routes to stay within the structure of route concepts. At the same time, Daboll confirmed that he doesn't foresee any changes to the Giants' offensive line against the Cowboys. While that may not preclude Andrew Thomas returning to the starting lineup, it does seemingly secure everyone else's starting job for another week. The Giants' blocking was a significant problem against the Commanders, with Wilson under pressure on 49% of his dropbacks and the team unable to run the ball. We'll see if the current starting lineup survives another week. And while there won't be anyone benched after the Giants' latest Week 1 disaster, that likely won't temper the calls for a change.